figures. He's weighing at 128 kilos, and we've weighed them this morning, so these are up-to-date weights. As I said earlier, males can get a lot bigger than Max. They can reach up to 350, possibly even 400 kilos. So Max really is quite a small male. So out in the wild, poor old Max probably wouldn't get the chance to breed. He'd be pushed off by a much bigger, stronger male. But when sea lions are first born, they don't actually know how to swim, do you, Kira? No idea how to swim. So unfortunately, they need to look out for a few predators. The pups in particular will unfortunately fall foul to some predators. Now luckily Mum's on hand to teach a couple of tactics. Now the first one is what predators they need to look out for. So Kira here is pretty good at impressions. We'll see if you can guess what Kira is pretending to be. Any ideas?
Shark.
Shark, exactly. So Kira here, or Max with their pups, they would need to look out for sharks and also killer whales as well. They will predate on the pups. So they need to make sure they're nice and safe. So another thing that they'll need to do before they go diving into the water is now they know what predators to look out for, they need to make sure that the coast is clear. So they will line up at the side of the pool and they will have a good look in the water. So Kira's having a good look around. Now we do a couple of shows a day and we like to make sure that there's no sharks lurking in the pool. Max is obviously feeling daring today, she's diving right on in. Now we can then just ask Kira, because she's pretty clever, so is it safe to go swimming? Yes. Good, that's what we like to hear. So that means there's no sharks in the pool. No, just a Max swimming around, that's alright, we can deal with that. So then another handy behaviour to learn is to swim. And when they do swim, they can learn to do a particular swimming behaviour known as porpoising. Now this kind of involves them jumping in and out of the water, chopping and changing their direction. Now this here is more of a leisurely swim. If they needed to get away from a predator, like a shark, as Max is showing off over there, like a shark, then they would have to swim much more quickly. Now they've got this lovely torpedo-shaped body that you can see, which streamlines them through the water. So then when they do swim, they can get up to speeds of about 30 miles per hour, so they can swim really, really quickly. And if you imagine a big group of sea lions swimming around like here and here, that's going to be quite hard to follow, because they're jumping in and out of the water, chopping and changing their direction, turning the foot up. So hopefully they'll be able to get nice and safe. I think here was like, I love him to drop this swimming there, well done. So that's how those guys would get away from predators if they needed to. Max was obviously very impressed with Kira swimming there. Now, as you've probably noticed, though, our sea lions are very intelligent. It's not just our sea lions, it's sea lions in general. A good way to think of them is a bit like a dog in a wetsuit in terms of their intelligence. So we do like to do lots of training with them because it keeps them mentally stimulated, also keeps them physically fit as well. So we do have some sort of silly behaviours which are just a bit of fun. They get our sea lions thinking, so it's really good for them. But we do also have some sort of more sensible behaviours that we call our husbandry behaviours, which is basically a fancy way of saying our health check behaviours. So first thing in the morning, one of the smelliest jobs as a sea lion keeper is we like to check our sea lions' teeth. So we can ask them to open wide and say ah. We can get a nice good look at their teeth and their gums to make sure that everything inside their mouth is nice and healthy. But obviously all they eat is raw fish, so their breath is certainly not the freshest first thing in the morning, I can assure you. But we can also ask them to present various parts of their body as well. So you can get a good look at their flippers and check for any lumps or bumps or cuts and bruises, make sure they're all in nice working order as well. There's a lazy way to check the hind flippers as well. Sharpen this nose, there we go, lovely done. But all of our training is done on positive reinforcement. So basically every time they do something we ask, they get a nice fishy reward. Now we can also check their whole body. So if you see Max lying down over there, having a nice little under flipper scratch. But it means you can check their whole body and just make sure that they're nice and healthy and don't have any injuries, that kind of thing. It means you can treat them really easily and it's nice and stress-free for the animal because they're going to get a nice fishy reward at the end of it and it's all down to them. But sea lions over in America have actually been trained by the armed forces to do a number of different things. Now they've been trained to act a bit like guard sea lions and send up a loud alarm call. Now Max over there, he's a pretty loud sea lion, so he could send up a loud bark, a little bit like this. Just like that. So it's pretty loud. So you're probably going to realise that something's up if you hear that. But they've also been trained to retrieve items from the water. Now this might be old abandoned mines, it might be divers' tools. In our case, a frisbee, that's much easier, much safer. So here you can retrieve the frisbee the sea lions, you get very embarrassed, don't you, Kira? And that's when people get Kira and Maxie confused with a seal. Now, you're not a seal, are you, Kira? No, exactly. So she's a sea lion. Now, there are a few differences we can show you to hopefully help you out a little bit. Now, the first one is ears. Now, Kira here, she's going to show you where her ears are. Now, the kind of way you'd expect them to be, they're on the side of her head. That's generally where you find ears. But ears, sea lions will have external ears that you can see. Seals, they just have small holes on the side of their head covered with fur because they're normally found in cold water. So having little ears sticking out like Kira here wouldn't be very practical at all. So she's giving you a closer look so you can have a good look. Have a look behind those whiskers, you can see a little ears sticking out, and that's how we can tell that she is a sea lion. Now the second difference is the way that seals and sea lions move on the land. Now when a sea lion moves, they can rotate their hind flippers up underneath themselves and they can walk along on all fours just like this. Now it makes them really fast, really agile, and they can move very quickly indeed. Now unfortunately, seals don't move in quite such a graceful fashion. They move in a slightly less elegant way. Now, because they can't rotate those hind flippers up underneath themselves. So they will move a bit like a slug or a caterpillar. That's the way Kira to do your best seal impression. So you can see now why sea lions will either get a little bit embarrassed when people get them confused with a seal. So it's not quite as elegant or as agile or as graceful. There we go. So that's another difference between the two of them. Now you can also find a difference really is to tell how they move through the water. Now when a sea lion swims, a sea lion will use their front flippers. Which one's those, Kira? There we go, those front flippers, she's very proud of them. And they've got big powerful front flippers that they will use to propel themselves through the water. Now, there's a lot of power in the flippers and in their chest, so much so they can hold their entire body weight up using just those front flippers. So very powerful indeed. Now, a seal's front flippers, they're much smaller in comparison to their body. You can see just how big Max's are when he's lifting them up there. Seals are much smaller. So when a seal moves through the water, a seal will have to use the hind flippers. Now, in case you're wondering, the hind flippers are the ones, where are they, Kira? There they are. They are behind. Now, they will then use them in a wiggling motion, a bit like a fishtail, from side to side, just like this. This is how a seal propels itself through the water. Lovely job there, Kira. So a sea lion will use the big front flippers and it will propel itself, a bit like kind of a breaststroke kind of motion. Now the best way really to demonstrate just how powerful a sea lion's front flippers are to see if we can get Kira here to jump out of the water and hit that ball with her nose. Now do you think you can do that, Kira? Yes, good, she's looking keen. So we'll see if Kira can hit that ball. Now she's only going to have one push with her flippers. Now it's quite high today, so we'll see how she goes. So have a little warm up, get yourself ready. Right, take it away then, Kira.
Yeah.
That was very high today, actually. Well done. Miss Max giving a little round of applause there. He's very impressed. So that is the easiest way to tell the difference between a seal and a sea lion. So hopefully that should be nice and easy for you again. Now, thank you very much for listening. This does bring us to the end of the sea lion part of our demonstration. So thank you very much for being one of our guinea pig audiences for our lovely Max. So he's not done too badly this afternoon. He's done a few nice little behaviours. He's had a little bit of a swim around, but he's certainly getting